Okay, this is the Honey Badger coming at you. Launching Father's Day. Originally, the plan was to go fish up at the Central Coast, but you know how that goes. The conditions did not allow for a safe launch. So instead, we're going to launch locally out of King Harbor again. So nice day, forecasted. Swells are supposed to be maybe like 2-3 foot with big intervals, 15-16 seconds. So this is what, you know, maybe 2 feet and 15-16 seconds in between looks like. Still a little bit early in the morning. It's about 9:30 and the winds are supposed to pick up, you know, typical 10-12 miles per hour, but overall a pretty good day to be out on the water. Okay, so Cheeto did some advanced scouting for us, and he's kind of marked out a spot where the bass are feeding on bait fish, kind of toward the surface, he said. So we're gonna go check that out first. So Cheeto is saying that the little calicos and sand bass are following the bait, and so we don't want to work that hard. We'll just follow Cheeto. Okay, so this is an example of, it looks like a good spot. I mean, clearly there are fish here. These are not mackerel, but there's no structure. But for whatever reason, something is holding these fish, and there's a lot of them. Okay.
Well, the structure's a little further ahead.
Okay, so Cheeto is saying the structure is a little bit further ahead. But clearly, yeah, big action here, right? I mean, like, this is almost guaranteed for sure.
It's a light rod reel.
We got a big fish or medium fish with light rod.
It's a little best rod. It is.
Nice fish. So we got Indy on. Now that looks like a bigger fish because that's a light rod? Faker.
We're all messing with you.
He's got the drag apparently set to 0, so it's like peeling offline, making for drama.
Not bad.
Well, that's not a bad fish at all.
I have one of those.
Okay, I'm gonna send down a 3-ounce little white jig. Looks like they're maybe about 70 feet down. Okay, today the wind is kind of blowing, the wind or the currents are kind of blowing us out of the northwest. So pointing my nose toward the northwest. There we go. Okay, so like, I rarely keep fish, but I kind of feel like I don't like putting them on stringers and watching them suffer. And I just like to, quickly dispatch them. It's a moral thing for me, you know? So I like to dispatch them real quick. And I think the quickest way is, you know, something heavy, a blunt instrument. And then I like to gut them, bleed them, and then put them on ice. Okay, so while I have some downtime, which is code for I can't catch a cold, I'm gonna describe to you what I think my favorite all-around setup for inshore kayak fishing is. Okay, so if you were to tell me, hey, you can only take one rod and reel out to try and catch everything. Okay, so I'm gonna give you and I'll give you a snapshot of this too. So this is basically a rod, and it's not even salt water, it's a freshwater rod. But this is a rod that was designed to throw heavy swim baits around all day long. Okay, so it's a casting oriented rod, so it's 7 foot 9 inches, and the line rating is 14 to 30, which is kind of like the sweet spot for inshore ocean. 15 to 30 is right around the ballpark, and it was meant to throw 1 to 4 ounce swim baits around all day long. So via its pedigree, so again, this is a casting oriented rod, you know that this thing's not going to have any problem casting things all day long. Now the question is, can you use this setup, okay, to work deep water, 250, 300 feet, and bounce like 10 ounces of torpedo sinker for rockfish? And the answer there is yes. Is it ideal? No, but you can do it. So as I mentioned, it's a swim bait casting rod. So it's meant and designed to throw these things around all day long, okay? So with a cast... So casting rod means it's gonna be longer. So as I mentioned, this is a 7 foot 9 inch rod. And the other real benefit to getting a casting oriented rod is this section right here, the butt section, is going to be longer, okay? Because when you cast, you not only, you know, push forward with the top hand, but you're pulling with the bottom hand as well. So they design it with a longer butt section. And beyond casting, having a longer butt section makes it easier to tuck this underneath your arm to fight smaller fish. And I cannot stress that enough. Not only fight smaller fish, but to tuck it under your arm when you're hauling, you know, again, 10 ounces of torpedo sinker from 250 feet. It's very comfortable. So, you know, I should let you know, I am not a great caster. So I'm, you know, again, intermediate type fisherman. So, but because this rod was designed to throw things around like this all day long, this really shouldn't be a problem, right? Okay, again, not a great caster, but that's what this rod was designed for, is to cast big swim baits all day long. Now the reel is a little more straightforward. Okay, so if you were to ask me to pick one reel for, again, to try and do everything with inshore, I'm gonna choose a low profile bait casting reel. Okay, so first of all, ergonomically, it just feels nice in your hand, right? The low profile is just easy to grasp. This is a 300 size reel, which means that if you use decent quality braid, you should be able to reach, again, 250, 300 feet for rockfish. So no problem there. I love, okay, when I first got this reel, this knob I thought was really funky and bulbous, but I love it, love it. Okay, and the fact that this, what do you call it, the handle is wide, it gives you a lot of leverage, and this knob is ultra comfortable. So this reel can easily do everything, right? So it can cast, you can send, you know, rockfish setups down to like 300 feet. So this is the reel that I would recommend if you can only take out one reel. And this happens to be the Daiwa Alexa 300. So again, don't get hung up too much on the specific brand of the model, but this is a Alexa 300, and I think it's the best reel for overall stuff. For the next few sequences, we're hanging out right here by the kelp line, by Malaga Cove or Palos Verdes. And we're in 40, 50 feet of water. Cheeto actually picked up his Mirage drive and rudder and went deep into the kelp, and he soaked some shrimp, and I believe he caught a couple of sheepshead. Okay, so that's what the scene looks like. I mean, there isn't like structure here, so giving you GPS coordinates really isn't gonna make any difference, but yeah, I mean, all that stuff that's calico country, shallow water. So lots of good stuff on the screen. Feels like a decent little calico. This is a very light rod, so don't let it over impress you. Yep. Yeah, pretty little calico. Yeah, now they're on the chew. Little calico. Calico are fun fish. They're good fighters, you know, pound for pound. They're fun, for sure. Oh, and they have a propensity to get off. Okay. Yeah, they're aggressive right now. You know, like I mentioned before, if they're picking it up on the way down, then they're in a feeding mood. Okay, this time's the sand bass. Little sand bass. So, you know, sometimes like when the wind gets going, the fish bite gets going, right? And so like when it's comfortable for us, you know, no wind, no current, no nothing, They typically, yeah, they're really aggressive. Yeah, they're super aggressive right now. They're picking it up on the drop. Oh man, you can just tell, like they're bumping it on the way down. There we go, see? It's like literally every 2 seconds it's getting bumped. But because I have a single hook, and you can tell this one was right, I mean just about at the surface. Super aggressive right now. Okay, my do-it-all setup. Shimano Cold Sniper, 100 grams. Not a big fish. But clearly this rod has more than enough backbone to be able to send something down like a $1.20, $1.30 with 4 ounces. And I'm hoping to get a little bit of footage of sending stuff down like deep, you know. $1.30, $1.30, 130. Nice little red. Like a little sand bass. Got something small on. Little calico. So I don't know if this has a name. It's just basically like a layered mound of some sort. And there you go. So, same setup. Okay, the 100 gram Shimano Cold Sniper. I can only get away with this because I'm on a Hobie, right? So, this lure is a little bit light for this depth, $1.80. But again, I'm going to turn my nose into the wind, watch my line to make sure it's going vertical, and then be really proactive with my feet. Otherwise, I'm going to be blowing off the mark, and I'll be dragging my stuff over structure, which means it's going to get hung up. So you can tell the wind is coming from this direction by the wind swells, okay? And so I'm always a little bit proactive, monitoring my line, and with 4 ounces, it's going to take a little bit of time to reach down to $1.80. Actually, maybe not that long. Oh, there. Yeah, I'm seeing some decent stuff here. Oh, darn it. Yeah, they're here. This is a little fish, unfortunately. This is a little fish. It's amazing. If you have a nice rod and braid, you can actually feel them hit your lure or your bait at 180 feet. This modern gear is just so amazing. Unfortunately, they're all kind of little fish. But obviously this rod reel setup is plenty for like 200 feet of depth and rock fishing. Send this guy back down. Okay, so when we catch little guys, we try our best to send them back So 16-ounce torpedo sinker, make a little hole right here. Then we send them down. And then the hope is if you send them down to like 70, 80 feet, they will revive and wriggle off the hook. And then at some point they will wriggle off, and you can feel them. Again, with this modern rod technology, you can feel okay, then just like that, the fish is off.
You ever catch two at the same time?
Two rockfish at the same time, huh? No, one's a sandy and one's a rockfish. Nice job, man. Is that off one jig?
Yeah.
Nice. So we'll try one more drop, but when you catch a bunch of little fish like that, it's kind of a sign that the place or the spot's been worked over pretty good. So in a little bit, I'm gonna get my Shimano sniper hung up. And really, that's just the cost of doing business. When you send something down with a treble hook structure, every once in a while, you're gonna get stuff hung up and lose it. So I'm gonna rely on my backup rod and reel, but the specs are similar. It's a casting rod and a 300 size reel, although it's not low profile. I've covered this in other videos, but another big advantage of the bait casting or conventional setup is that when you're winding something from really deep, it's tiring, right? So you just rest this on your knee and just crank away like this, and it takes way more stress off your arms. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at the line capacity. So yeah, I mean, like, again, 300 size reel, if you use a braid, you should have enough capacity to reach down to 300 feet. So yeah, overall a pretty good setup for just about everything you want to do. Again, inshore on a kayak. Okay, this is a better fisher. Better fish. So similar setup here. This is a musky rod. So that makes, you know, the pedigree a casting rod. 7.5 foot, you know, rated for like, again, probably 15-30. This reel is a round bait casting reel. So something along that genre. Pretty good setup overall. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it's a decent rockfish. And again, while I'm fighting this from like 220 feet, you can't see it, but I got the butt of the rod tucked in under my arm. I mean, the other way to fight him is like this, but that just seems a little bit kind of clunky to me. I prefer this method. And so this, I lost the cold sniper, so this jig is actually heavier. It's probably like a 7-ounce jig. So clearly this rod is capable. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Whoa! Guess what? So this rod is capable, you know, obviously of like 7 ounces or whatever. Now, you're gonna be as surprised as I am. Watch this. Lingcod, okay? Really rare, really rare. So, they're so rare, I'm gonna try and let this guy go. Okay, gone. So anyways, that's a pretty rare pickup from local. So I was kind of meaning to speak on the capability of a setup like this again. Let me wipe this. You know, 7.5 foot rod. It's a casting rod again, so that means long butt section. Tuck this under your arm and fight the fish that way. This is a similar sized reel. The profile's round and not low profile, but you know, similar concept. So yeah, good overall setup. Okay, so we got it. This is not a ling, but this is a decent rockfish. Okay, so I mean, look at the action of the rod. Plenty of backbone to handle decent rockfish from 250 to 300 feet. I'll tell you what though, I do miss the big knob handle of the other reel. I'm not using it because I busted off on structure. And I do feel like the low profile reel feels a little bit better in the hand. So, but the one aspect of this rod that I do like better is this, what do you call it? It's not cork, it's synthetic, but it's very comfortable. Okay, just rested on my knee. So this is where I missed that big, you know, bigger handle and the knob and the leverage, the comfort. So this is more of a grind. What do we have here? This is a salmon grouper, bocaccio, whatever you call them. So this is another pretty productive area. Again, this is only about maybe a mile away from shore. I'm gonna drop a waypoint. There you go. Okay. So this is probably a really good spot for someone who's just kind of venturing out and doesn't want to go too far. Pretty productive spot. So you can tell, okay, the contour line, this is where the canyon kind of climbs up and it's a ledge basically. And whenever you have elevation changes, you're often going to find fish.
Over here?
Yeah, things are getting a little bit sporty. Yeah? Oh, nice. Good haul, man. Things are getting a little bit sporty. You know, typically you can expect this kind of stuff. I mean, the one advice that I can give you is like when things get a little bit bumpy, stay cool, you know, don't panic and keep your hips loose. And by that, I guess I mean, you want to just kind of hinge at the waist so that you can kind of compensate for the way the swells are kind of moving you around. And the big thing you want to do is keep your torso, your torso, the center of gravity, like right here. And you can ride out most things if you do that. Wrap it up. It's about 6 p.m. Beautiful day throughout. Okay, super impressed with this battery. Okay, it's about 6 o'clock. We launched at 9 a.m., so 9 hours on the water. Still showing 12.8 volts. I have no problems recommending this battery to anyone who's looking for a cheap lithium technology battery. Go get it. So the battery that I'm referring to in the video is this battery here. It's made by Miyadi, okay, and this is a lithium iron phosphate battery, but the bottom line is any kind of lithium technology is going to be better than the old school sealed lead acid battery. It's going to be roughly about half the dimension and half the weight, and many other really cool features that just make it way better. And so when I put the video together about a month ago, they had only had the 6 amp hour model, and that was $30, which, you know, again, that's a steal. But since they've come out with the 8 amp hour for the same price, $30, and then they've also released a 16 amp hour, which is only $46. I mean, it's such a no-brainer. Like, if these batteries existed before I went out and made those exotic 18650 battery packs, I wouldn't have bothered. So when I went out, and I was using the 8 amp hour, when I went out, it showed 13 volt or 13.0 volts. And we were on the water for 9 hours, and at the end of the 9 hours, as you can see in the video, I had 12.8 volts. And this battery and the fish finder will go until 10 volts. So clearly, and I should mention that my Garmin fish finder doesn't exactly sip energy. It's kind of an energy hog. So super impressed with batteries. So if you're looking for a lithium battery, go get it. Okay, that'll bring us to the end of this video. If you found this video useful or amusing, hit that like button for me. And with that, I will say goodbye. Get out there, have fun, be safe, especially with the COVID situation. And we will see you soon on our next adventure. Bye for now. That's a pretty ambitious little calico. That's a big bait.